Once again, welcome to Global Reports on Liberty TV from our Kaduna studios. And a special hi to our viewers in Nigeria on Star Times, Go TV and Free TV, and to our viewers across West Africa on Strong Decoder and Multi TV, and to our many friends worldwide streaming on the internet, including my brother Alan Brooks watching in the UK, who complained last week I couldn't pronounce the name of the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. As usual, we follow trending and fascinating news stories from around the world from the past week. My guests this week are our good friends Ferdinand Okonkwo and Sani Garba. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Last week, we saw the death of Stephen Hawking, Professor Stephen Hawking, in fact, the eminent British physicist who popularized the science like no other person. Stephen Hawking passed away in the UK last Wednesday, aged 76, having been crippled since a young man with motor neuron disease, paralyzed and forced to stay in a wheelchair. But this disability did not deter him to go on to become one of the world's greatest scientists, and despite his disabilities, was able to communicate the world of physics not only to ordinary people, but even to children. Watch this report from CNN.
By any measure, Stephen Hawking's life was incredible, even more so because in the 1960s he was diagnosed with ALS, or motor neuron disease, and given just a few years to live. This rare form of motor neuron disease left him virtually paralysed, unable to express his profound vision of humanity and science without a voice synthesizer.
At one point, I thought I would see the end of physics as we know it. But now I think the wonder of discovery will continue long after I am gone.
But this was never a man bound by his own physical limitations. He revelled in a zero-gravity flight, freeing him, he said, from the confines of his wheelchair. He also wrote a series of children's books about space with his daughter Lucy. He had 2 other children and 3 grandchildren. For more than 3 decades, he was a professor at Cambridge University's Department of Applied Mathematics and Theoretical Physics, specialising in the study of black holes, and revered as a member of the academic elite. But Professor Hawking also did much to popularise science, playing himself in Star Trek,
Recessed in the opposite direction,
and The Simpsons. In 2014, his life and romance with wife Jane Wilde was depicted on the big screen in the acclaimed film The Theory of Everything.
So the universe getting smaller and smaller, getting denser and denser, hotter and hotter as we...
You mean wind back the clock?
Exactly, wind back the clock.
Hawking consulted on the biodrama, which earned 5 Academy Award nominations and a Best Actor win for Eddie Redmayne for his portrayal of the physicist. Hawking's most famous work, A Brief History of Time, remains one of the best-selling science books ever written, and he was deeply concerned with humanity's survival.
I see great dangers for the human race. There have been a number of times in the past when its survival has been a question of touch and go. The frequency of such occasions is likely to increase in the future. We shall need great care and judgment to negotiate them all successfully. But I'm an optimist. If we can avoid disaster for the next 2 centuries, our species should be safe as we spread into space.
He was, as ever, looking firmly to the future.
A remarkable man, you have to agree. Ferdinand, would you like to make a comment?
I mean, this commentary has said it all. He's a man that is a gift to the world. He's a gift to the people that believe academics and studies is the way forward. He's a gift to the people who believe disability is not denial. He's a gift to the people who have this belief that our lives is meant to be a shining light to generation unborn. I think Steve has come and gone, but his life will remain in the part of history for all of us as a worthy life, worthy of emulation. We only say adieu, Steve.
It's interesting, here in Nigeria we see people who are got disabilities and crippled being wheeled around the streets for alms, begging basically. Don't you think we should be thinking about maybe among some of those crippled people you see on the streets there are Nigerian Stephen Hawking?
Yes, of course, because we have an instance of a young lawyer who is equally crippled. He begged in the street of Lagos to raise money and train himself in the university as a lawyer. He saw it in himself, that he is carrying that gift, he is carrying that instinct. There is that in him, that this disability is not enough to suppress. And he saw that the society has condemned him, because that is in our character. The moment there is disability, one is condemned. But he didn't condemn himself. He went on to achieve his own life goal, not just through the help of anybody, through the help of the people who were giving him 1 naira, 2 naira as alms in the street. He did not stop him. That is to say, there is no man that is not gifted. Disability doesn't mean condemnation. It doesn't mean the end of the road. If these same people are given the same opportunity, of course, I believe they will achieve their own lifetime ambition. Why? Because the richest place in the world is the graveyard. That is the place you go, you see somebody who's supposed to have been a professor, but he is carrying the professorship in the graveyard. You see a scientist in the graveyard. You see the best. Those things that are put in us, are we able to exhaust it before we get there? Majority couldn't exhaust it. They are there in the graveyard. So we should have many of Steve in Nigeria. And because we have them, we should give them opportunity to express themselves and their God-given talents. And they are everywhere. Go to the streets, even in the places they are begging, you see some of them exhibiting some rare, gifts that are in them. Some in dancing, some in singing. So these things shouldn't be left to die with the simple reason that they are paralyzed. Steve is a typical example.
People should think more about their legacy and what they can do in their lifetimes, rather than how much money they can amass in their bank accounts and how much power they can grab, because you can't carry it with you. It's not going to do any good underground. Sani, what do you have? What can you comment on this?
I don't have anything to say much.
You do.
But,
you always do.
Actually, but African nature is different. No matter how talented you are, once you are disabled, you have been pushed to the street, unless if you have families that can assist you. Because of recent, there is one crippled, just like this one. He doesn't believe by begging on the street. He's a trader and also an actress, because he used to sing for these politicians. I can remember there was a time even I come in between them with one chairman of Kaduna North. He sang for him, but the politicians refused to pay him his due. Instead, he even sent talks against that man moving on the wheelchair. I'm telling you. So there is not much I can say. Actually, as my friend says, we have a lot of talented people on the street there, but because nobody to assist them to actualize their own dream. So
there's on BBC, there's a BBC, he's a Nigerian, he's Yoruba, and he does a travel program, and he's in a wheelchair. But he goes everywhere in the world. It doesn't stop him moving around. I forget his name, actually. I can't remember his name.
Disability is not inability for somebody to be productive.
You see, so many people believe in this simple thing that for them to achieve their lifetime ambition, they must narrow the road of others. You see, look at the space. This space is so wide that all the birds in the face of this earth, if all of them should come out to fly at the same time, the space will accommodate all of them at the same time. You can't have enough space by closing my own space. It's not possible. You see, as something as little as HIV is enough for some people to be condemned perpetually. In our orphanage home, there are children in our home that were abandoned by their parents and relations simply because they are HIV. Their parents died of HIV, and these children were allowed to litter. They were allowed to litter the street, beg on the street. But they had relations who are well-to-do to help them. They refused to help because of the stigma of HIV. Imagine HIV.
Retroviral drugs, they
could have
live a normal life.
Just simple. Give them the opportunity, learn of how to manage it, to help them to live their normal life. But it will not be done. Why? Because, you see, in this part of the world, survival is for the fittest. Whereas, it's supposed not to be so. And it starts from the top and flows downwards. So, we are condemned to look for spaces for ourselves, and we shouldn't be looking at politicians to help us. Okay. If you are looking for them to help you, you will have to wait for eternity. This might not come.
This is a story we could talk about all day. We need to move on. This week, a number of items of news have come out of the Nigerian news sources, including this story about the clash between the President and Senate over reordering of the 2019 elections. Watch this report from Channels TV.
The issue really is that
Senate Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio rises to speak with his colleagues about a recent development involving Parliament. He's concerned about a court order granted by a federal high court on Wednesday, March 14, restraining the National Assembly from taking steps to pass into law the Electoral Amendments Bill. President Buhari has refused to sign the Electoral Amendment Bill into law, explaining that the setting of a sequence for general elections by the National Assembly infringes on the constitutionally guaranteed discretion of INEC to organize the elections.
I'm worried about the separation of powers as enshrined in our Constitution. The issue then is, can really the court, through an injunction, ex parte or otherwise, stop the Parliament from carrying out its constitutional duties? I don't think, in my view, that it is right for the court to interfere in the affairs of the Parliament, particularly when we are in the process of either making a legislation or when we are in discussion. We cannot be stopped by court injunction.
Senate Leader Ahmed Lawan agrees with Senator Akpabio.
I also believe, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that the matter at stake does not require any court intervention. This democracy at work. I don't believe with that amendment. I voted against it. I'll vote against it tomorrow. But it behoves on me to talk to my colleagues to see it the way I see it. Or if you want me to abandon my position, talk to me. And that is how our democracy will develop.
The Senate takes a decision.
There's a prayer on the floor, which is that we should express our concerns the CGN.
Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court in Abuja orders the defendants to maintain status quo on the amendment of the Electoral Act until the next adjourned date fixed for March 20th. But in the meantime, there is high-level lobbying going on in the Senate against overriding the president's veto on the amendment of the electoral bill. A source in the Senate told Channels Television that senators who do not support the amendment are lobbying their colleagues and are collecting signatures in support of their stand. However, the National Assembly has not announced whether it will override the president's veto or not, perhaps trying to gauge the minds of lawmakers to see if both chambers can get the two-thirds majority votes required to override the president's veto.
Okay, this is an interesting growing story. Let's turn to Sani. What do you say?
Actually, to me, I see no reason why the president will be afraid to sign this bill. I see nothing in it. What is afraid, and what I realize, some people in this country are trying to put us in a chaotic situation. These people, didn't they have the right by the law to amend the electoral law? If they have this right, then I see no problem with that for Mr. President to sign it into law. At the first instance, this is the man who say he can work with everybody. He can do anything as far as legislative is concerned. Then why is he afraid to sign this bill? I don't see any reason.
Has the president given his reasons why?
That is what you just conclude. We want to know his reasons for not to sign this bill into law. Because these are Nigerian lawmakers, and they decided this thing should go like this. But one thing, maybe to me, is timing. The Mr. President is looking at the timing, because in the next 7 to 8 months, will general election. So apart from that, I don't see any reason that he will not sign this bill into law.
Okay, Ferdinand.
Mr. Brooks, my only fear is very simple. Everything about this country is politicized. Every politician and everybody in the place of authority sees everything in this country from the prism of politics. They don't see Nigeria. They don't see the generality of the people. They only see themselves winning election, staying in power, recontesting election, winning election, continuing to stay in power. Is governance and country all about conducting, winning, conducting, winning? That is the problem. Check it from day one, from budget, from anything you can think of. It is seen from the prism of politics. Doesn't other countries play politics? Is politics limited to Nigeria? Why are we like this? Everything is seen from the political angle. Who is winning and who is not winning? Somebody will wake up, a senator will wake up and say, this is targeted on Mr. President. Can't you see Nigeria instead of Mr. President? For crying out loud, Buhari will spend the next 4 years, let's assume, and he will be out of that place. Nigeria continues. You know the greatest loser? We, the youths of this country. We constitute more than 70% of this nation. But these old men that have gathered there will always use us against ourselves. If check their ages, are they not old enough to go and retire? Look at us. We are still somewhere clapping for them. Muke so. Now you will follow. Is that how we will continue? Let them give us the space. Because they will keep keeping us down with religion. If they see religion is not playing their game, they bring tribe. If the tribe is not playing to their master plan, then they bring sectionalism. Anything that can give them that space to operate, that is what they bring. Tell me what is wrong in reordering. How in 1999 it was done the same thing. In 2003, it was State Assembly, the governorship, National Assembly, and then the presidential election. Then in 2015, Buhari bandwagon came in. The moment the presidential election was done and the president won, every other person queued behind. Every Tom, Dick and Harry that was having the ticket of APC, especially in this place, everybody won his or her election. Let's go back. Go and show that you are popular. Don't just hide behind the president and then come up with anybody called any character as a representative. Let people stand. Why are we afraid of this reordering? Let's try it. If it is not working, we will still change it. But for somebody, I was ashamed to see a senator standing up. This is targeted at Buhari. When will we stop individual politics and play national politics? That is all about this. But I don't blame them. I blame all of us that are spectators. We are watching them. Look at their bogus salaries. They are collecting over 14 million. That is the known figure.
That's the known figure.
And they collect every month.
Sani.
And when they collect it, they come down here, come down to my own settlement, gather some youths, dash them 15,000, 10,000 here and there, and they are ready to go ahead and kill for them. It will continue like this until we realize that it is our future that is being destroyed. It is our destiny that is being destroyed. Then I will forget that I am an Igbo man, that he is an Hausa man. We have a common ground. To me, that is Nigeria. It belongs to all of us. If we play it well, we will send to all these men to retirement and go and take over the leadership. That, after all, how old is Macron that is leading France today? How old is he?
He's a young man,
a young man of 30-something years. Like, at least I'm older than him by far. Why shouldn't I rule Nigeria? Why should we be looking for 70-something years to come and rule up? Because they have the experience. Experience my foot. Look at the experience. They are hiding. The experience is leading them to hide our dollars, pounds, and sterling inside their septic tanks. That is the experience they have.
But Ferdinand, isn't the problem the young when they come in? Some of them grow up and they adopt the same attitude.
Because we are still dominated, we still believe in this mentality of that old man somewhere must guide us. Allow us to make our mistakes and correct ourselves. As youths, we are bound to make mistakes and correct ourselves.
Mr. Brooks, you see, these are senators, including Mr. President. As he said, they don't have Nigeria in heart. Because if they have Nigeria in their heart, this is not something that will even be discussed nationally. It's a simple thing. But to me, what they are afraid is, most of them, I don't think they will come back. Because what are they going to tell people? What are they going to campaign with for their people to elect them again? That is their afraid.
Yeah, but what you're saying anyway, what Ferdinand is saying, some of these people, they pay a few thousand naira to
assumingly, I know we'll discuss this. I could have bring one video for you to show it here.
Okay.
How a senator was chased away from his village.
Oh, you told me this one last week.
So this thing, now Nigerians don't open as far as politics is concerned. Nobody will just come. They will collect the money, but they will deal with you. I'm telling you, come 2019, you'll see a different ball game. Because all these youth that they used to drug, give them money to kill this, to destroy that place, they will never practice that again.
And are you sure that Mr. President knows that he even vetoed it? Because the man is in prison. Those who are around him, you know, so many people around him have been crying that he has been imprisoned by some people with vested interest.
I don't believe with that, because the blame will be for Mr. President. Before he comes into power, those people are not with him. It is the common Nigerians that voted him in. Then how is he going to allow some of them? They are not even elected. They are not even appointed. They were just smuggled into the villa in a criminal manner, because you are not elected. You are not given appointment, but you are there even playing a role that those that are even appointed cannot be able to. And what is Mr. President is doing, because all the time people are crying over this, that these people have circled him. Few people are now managing Nigeria instead of Nigerians, but it's just few clique of people. Is Mr. President not aware of this?
He should be.
So to me, the problem of Nigeria is not these people, but Mr. President himself.
I am still waiting to see the election year when we will have one Suleiman from Kano, 35 years, contesting for presidency. All of us will go and die on the street for him. Let's forget about these people that are expired. They are expired. They don't even think of the current. They are thinking of the life after the grave.
After the grave.
And we are the ones looking at tomorrow. And we are leaving the people that are already at the bad side of life to determine our own destiny. It's an irony.
Mr. President is aware that most of these criminal governors that fool that place will not allow the legislators to perform well. Because most of how many ex-governors we have in the Senate now? There are plenty. So these people will not allow Nigeria to move the way it's supposed to, because they know the skeleton in their cupboard.
It is clear we still have a fragile democracy in this Nigeria. And I think we're out of time. We could discuss this thing till cows come home, but we're out of time. And we have to thanks to my guests, our studio cameraman, the guys and girls in the control room, and our production crew. This is me, Arthur Brooks, wishing you a great week, and please keep watching